What's the deal with movie trailers? Is it really necessary to have a trailer be almost 3 minutes long, or to even have multiple trailers for the same film? Is it better to spoil huge scenes, or is a short trailer that leaves the viewer with questions a stronger approach? Do audiences even pay attention to trailers anymore, or have people started to avoid them? Today we're going to take a look at the world of movie trailers and try to determine what separates a great trailer from a bad one. Let's dive in. I think it's important to start this topic off by first asking the question, what's the point of a movie trailer? I think there's a few elements to this answer. If we go all the way back to 1913, this is when the first trailer was shown. It was created by advertising manager Niels Grunlund for the Marcus Loew theater chain and was a short film that advertised a musical called The Pleasure Seekers. It's pretty obvious that trailers are created to promote a film, or back in 1913, a musical, but beyond just the surface level, they give us information as a viewer that will usually help us decide if we're interested or not. Trailers tend to share with us the plot, characters, conflict, and then leave us on some sort of cliffhanger. Now, how detailed a trailer gets in these categories is where I think a huge amount of trailers absolutely fail, but this isn't the only issue. A big problem that I see with trailers is that there's very few that stand out because none of them really feel unique. I think the reasoning is because they've become stuck in a specific formula, and this has been true throughout the history of movie trailers. If we look back to when narration-style trailers were popular, they all pretty much followed the same exact formula. Open with a moment that's dramatic or funny.
Wow, that's a 10, the 5, touchdown!
A voiceover kicks in, often using the classic phrase, "in a world."
In a world where professional sports had sunk to a new low.
Cut back into a moment from the film, then again into narration that starts giving us information on the main character or characters.
Two guys invented a game.
And then from here, the trailer cuts between scenes from the film and the narration that gives us information on the plot, characters, and conflict. This sort of formula dominated the world of movie trailers for a long time. And even though we don't see this specific approach anymore, there's definitely still a style that trailers have become trapped using. More often than not, we get a trailer that starts out a little low-key, but with that feeling that it's going to build up.
Mr. Snow.
Maybe a dramatic as we hear the first words or see the first shot. Then we get some more dialogue as the music builds up and maybe the amount of shots being shown increases. Dramatic boom and a hard-hitting piece of dialogue. Then the trailer kind of settles down and shows us more moments from the film until it builds back up to the cliffhanger and ends.
Good luck with that poor little songbird.
Where is she?
Now, it's important to note that certain genres like, say, comedy might not be quite in your face with this formula, but are definitely still influenced by it. I'm not saying making movie trailers like this is bad by any means, but I do think audiences are getting kind of burnt out on this approach, just like they did with the narrated trailers. And also using this style doesn't do much to make a film stand out. Everyone's going to have their preference and be impacted differently by trailers, but in my opinion, there's a handful of things that a trailer can do that usually makes me either stop paying attention or be left with a bad taste in my mouth. I'll start with something fairly simple, and this is when a trailer just downright lies to the audience. It may not even be intentional, but there's many cases where scenes appear in a trailer but are not in the final version of the film. Obviously, this is something that you won't know about until you see the film, but it's still frustrating, especially if it's a scene that made you want to go watch it in the first place. Take Suicide Squad, for example. Even though I'm not a fan of the film, I do respect the trailer, at least until the very end when an epic line of dialogue from the Joker happens that feels very much like a cliffhanger or at least a big moment in the film.
Oh, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really bad.
But this part is nowhere to be found in the final product. Not only was I disappointed overall by this movie, but I didn't even get to see this moment that seemed so cool. There's also trailers that just poorly represent what the film is, which can definitely impact someone's expectations. I'll use last year's The Fabelmans as an example. The trailer presents the movie in a way that makes it seem like it's a story about the magic of cinema and how a young boy dreams to make movies one day. Though I do think this is somewhat accurate, if you've seen the film, you'll know it's so much more than that. It's an emotional roller coaster with a lot of drama, and yes, it's certainly about Steven Spielberg, but it's more about how a young boy uses filmmaking to face his fears in the world, and also how he realizes that humans, from his parents to his friends, all have their faults and hardships. He battles with this throughout the story and has to learn how to deal with it. The trailer to me doesn't get this across very well at all. It feels a little too fantastic and dreamy in my opinion. There's a different tone in the trailer, and I think if it would have tapped into what's really at the heart of this film, it might have pulled in bigger audiences and had more success. One of the biggest problems I often find is that many trailers will share way too much information or downright spoil important moments. From Terminator Salvation that literally spoiled the main character being a cyborg, or trailers for films like The Unbearable Weight of a Massive Talent that essentially shows you every beat of the story. When it comes to sharing too much information, the list is pretty much endless, and personally, when I go to watch a film after seeing a trailer like this, it ruins the overall experience. How am I supposed to feel the impact of an emotional moment or be scared in a horror film when those moments were shown in the trailer? I become bored when I watch a movie that I feel like I've already seen because the trailer showed me so much of it. This problem has only gotten worse over the years, and in some sense it's because the industry has been told that people want trailers to show more instead of less. An article by Entertainment Weekly highlighted this when the film Southpaw came out way back in 2015. According to experts in the trailer marketing business, they found the more audiences know, the likelier they are to go. And this finding might also be why we get several trailers for the same movie these days. I mean, it's not uncommon for a teaser trailer to come out, then the official trailer, and then maybe a couple more trailers after that. I guess it's hard to argue with the experts, but for me personally, having so much spoiled or even just so many scenes shown to me before I see a film just ruins the excitement. I find that trailers are at their best when they share little glimpses of the film, giving me just enough information about it, but leaving me wanting more. An excellent example of this is the trailer for the original Alien film. Not only does the tone of the trailer accurately represent the film itself, but the trailer is also super mysterious and leaves the viewer with so many questions while still giving us the basics. It immediately pulls you in with its unsettling vibe and mysterious first shot, that slowly builds up as it starts to show scenes from the film, revealing all the aspects that we want to learn from a trailer. And maybe the most impressive thing is it does it without a single line of dialogue. We hear some creepy sounds right as the trailer hits its climax, and then it settles and simply reveals the words, "In space, no one can hear you scream," along with the title. Nothing is spoiled, and we're left with questions that can only be answered by seeing the actual film. This trailer is what I would consider to be great. It hits every mark and doesn't overdo it. A more recent film that had a great trailer like this was Hereditary. It also does a great job at capturing the tone of the film, and even though it shares some scenes from the movie that are big moments, it only gives us quick glimpses without context, so it doesn't actually spoil anything. I find that this approach is also really strong. It's fine to show us specific moments from the film, but just have some restraint on how much is actually shown. Personally, I usually avoid full-length trailers. If I'm curious about a film and want to get a little glimpse of what it has to offer, I find that the teaser trailers are usually plenty to spark my interest and help me decide if I want to watch a specific movie. Take the Barbie teaser for example. It's simply the opening of the film, which pays homage to 2001: A Space Odyssey. It gives us a little bit of information on how Barbie came to be, that Greta Gerwig is directing, and it reveals that Margot Robbie is playing Barbie, and that's it. It absolutely sparks your curiosity because it's not quite what you would expect for a Barbie trailer. Another great teaser this year was Killers of the Flower Moon. This teaser is a bit longer than Barbie, and in my opinion, this should have probably been the only trailer for the film, but either way, it gives us exactly the information we need while showing us quick glimpses, kind of like Hereditary did. Plus, it has some epic dialogue that ends the trailer by stating,
"Can you find the wolves in this picture?"
as we're shown a shot of a bunch of characters from the film. It's excellent and makes us wonder who these people are and what they've done. I will say both Barbie and Killers of the Flower Moon have well-known directors, so they're able to show those names during the trailer to pull people in, as well as showing the cast who are also very famous, so this does make it a little easier to capture the audience without spoiling too much, but I think there's absolutely elements that can be taken from these teasers for more low-budget independent films that might not have the stacked cast and crew and can use their names to help pull people in. The world of movie trailers is a complicated one. As a filmmaker, you want to attract the biggest audiences you can, but I think it's important to not overdo your trailer to the point that it might have the opposite effect and make people less interested. The experts might disagree, but I find the trailers that have restraint and only give us just enough information are the most impactful ones. It's also important to create a trailer that doesn't fall into the same old same, making it forgettable and not stand out among all the movie trailers out there. I have an immense amount of respect for the craft of creating trailers, and when it's done right, it's an absolute joy to see, and usually pays off big for the filmmakers when their movie has success as a result of a great trailer. I'm curious what your thoughts are on movie trailers. Do you prefer long ones that spoil a lot of the film, or do you like short ones that spark curiosity and leave you with questions? Let me know down in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.